Yeah, I'm Rach. For anyone that hasn't met me before, I'm your BDM. So if you haven't met me, hopefully you will soon. And then we've got Simone Barakat, who is our absolute guru that'll be taking you through the demo. No, she's amazing. So yeah, welcome. Thanks for joining. We'll go next one. Yep. So what we'll be running through today is the just a bit of an intro to Farmbot. Anyone that doesn't know that, if you don't know who Farmbot is, I haven't been doing my job properly, but apologies there. And then so Sim will take you through the platform, which is we call My Farmbot. So that'll effectively show you what your customers will be looking at on their phone or on their computer, and then just talking about the actual hardware. How does it work? So generally, you guys will be out there in the field helping install. So good to know. And then obviously, bringing it back to me, I'll sort of finish off the presentation, and definitely get in contact with myself. We sort of feel that pump control is going to be a really key product for Darling Irrigation, and it's already sort of taken off, but we really want Darling Irrigation to champion this pump control because it certainly suits your suite of products. So look, this is something that we all present to our clients all the time. Who's out there checking your water today? So as you all would know, pumps do stop. Pipes burst, leaks happen, generally at the most inconvenient times. You've just done a water run, they've just done a water run, and as they're driving away, something happens. So this is part of the ecosystem of what Farmbot are trying to create. So obviously the water level will start telling you that there's an issue. Pump control is a symbiotic loop in terms of you don't have to go back out there. If you know that you've got a problem, then pump control will be able to stop your pump and make sure that you've got water for your stock. So just introducing pump control as it is. Look, anywhere in the world you can be, you can control your pump. So I've got a customer in South Australia. He has a tank that's 50 kilometres away from his pump, and he has installed this pump control. So effectively he's got 50 kilometres between his pump and his tank. Quite obviously a large, long pipeline. Lots of problems to happen in 50 kilometres, but he can now just turn his pump on and off, or his tank he set it up so his tank actually does it, but he can just check it anytime he wants. These are real-time notifications. If you're familiar with the water level products that we have, it's the same thing. So you will know when your pump stops, if there's an error on your phone, and you can get on and fix it or send someone out there. Look, obviously it's an automating your pump base, so your tank can tell you to turn it off or on. It's not on pressure or float valve. So this is actually a first in the industry. There's 3 ways you can do it. Tank can tell the pump to turn on and off. You can set it up so it can turn on and off at a particular time, or otherwise you can just log in and do it yourself whenever you feel like it. So look, works. We will have a compatibility sheet for you, probably I think within the week. So we'll send that all out because obviously that's a question we get asked all the time. This has been in the market for a while now, so the multitude of different pumps and setups that people, mono pumps and every single different type of pump, solar pumps and all that sort of thing. We've done all the background work on that in terms of what's going to work with the pumps. So there's diesel, solar, and also works off mains power. So yep, Sim. Look, Farmbot lives and breathes water monitoring. Basically, we are the leaders. We're an Australian brand. We make our own products in Australia, so we are a leader in water monitoring solutions. Pump control is just another way to close that loop on helping farmers manage their time, peace of mind around their water assets, and really take on, it's not so labor intensive and costly, it's not wasteful, it's not unreliable. Effectively, it's just being really proactive about managing your water assets. And I think, Darling Irrigation, it's all about, making your water management systems effective. So this is just a perfect product for you guys.
Awesome. I'll take it from here, Rach. Thanks so much
Em.
for that intro. So as Rach mentioned, I'm going to take you through what my Farmbot platform looks like, as well as a demo of our pump control in action. So here is the map view and what a customer will land on if they're checking on the desktop or the mobile. And from here, they get the bird's eye view of their operation. And quickly at a glance, you can see from the color coding, they're able to gauge which tanks or flow meters or whatever the sensor Farmbot sensor setup is that needs immediate attention. And they can also quickly at a glance see the levels that whether it be their dams or bores are sitting at currently. And it's just giving them a wealth of insights to be able to plan their day. From here, they can click into one of these sensors directly from the map, or they can use the nav bar on the side here. So from that, if I click into one of the water tanks, here we can see this perfect example where water was coming along and then there's been this sharp drop in the water, whether it's a burst pipe or some other issue, and we'll immediately send them alert about this. So we've got our high, tank low, a warning tank low, and a critical tank low, as well as our alert for when there's a leak in the system. So we can also let them know when the water level is dropping really rapidly in a set amount of time. So, and all of those alerts actually completely customizable. So here you can see all those alerts that I just mentioned, and here they can actually set what we're calling the excessive rate of fall, that leak or detection. They're able to actually set that themselves. So I want to know in this example when it's dropped by 40 centimeters in 60 minutes, but some customers want that as low as I want to know when there's a 10 centimeter drop in 30 minutes and whatnot. So obviously every tank is a little bit different, and this gives them the customizability to do so. And then so we've got another example. Oh, and here is, as you can see, with the settings of that tank, they're able to add in the height, the volume, and again, so it's completely flexible for their specific tank, and so we can give them really reliable data. Here we've got another slide here where you can see that we've can actually also see that data in real time. So as it's coming through, we can see how the levels are changing and the volume are changing over time, and that's completely exportable for the customer and allows them to get a lot more insights about how the tank is doing. Oh, and then as we come back to the map view, we can click into another tank and say we've got this one here. Also a really interesting setup here where we can see that the tank was really quite low, and over time it's come up and recovered. But you can see here how the water levels come up and then rapidly fallen down again. So we've alerted them of that, and maybe this customer's had to go out and address that, or the pumps kind of just filling up as well, but there's quite a lot of demand on the tank itself. And yeah, the richness of data here is pretty amazing. That's what we get a lot from the customers, where they really just thought the tank was going on at a very normal rate or trend, and then here there's just a lot more that's happening in that tank, and a lot of insights they can also draw on from their livestock behavior and water consumption patterns and whatnot. So coming back as well, we now can show you why we're all here, and that is our pump control. Oh, sorry, that's just not loading. Oh yeah, cool. So here we have on a graph is an example of our pump control. So what's really key about the Farmbot pump control offering is that we compare it with that water tank data. And so here you can see in this tank, we've got the water level movements with the pumps status, whether it's on and off, overlaid over that tank's behavior. And this is giving that customer that insights and that ability to assess from their mobile, the desktop, anywhere, that once they've left that pump, that it's still pumping, or when has it been turning off and turning on, and provide them a lot more insights around what's just happening at that pump. So you can see here, this pump is currently running, and all I'd have to do is simply press that stop button, and on a couple of minutes over satellite, that pump will be turned off no matter how far away I am from that pump. So giving them so much control and visibility over their pumps. I'll just, if we come onto this slide as well. Oh, I'm not sure if it's loading, unfortunately. Oh, there we go. So as you can see here is just a visual representation of that motion over time. So as the tank drops down to a certain level, we can actually have the automation kick in based on the tank heights. And then as it fills up, once the tank is at the height that they want it to stop, it'll automatically turn the pump off as well. And here's just also a GIF of what that would look like when turning the pressing the button. So through that whole process, they have that visibility as well that the monitor is currently processing, and then they're alerted as the pump is turned on or off, or as Rach mentioned, is if there's an error. So jumping actually into the platform, here's another example where we can see the water levels and the pump. This has been set up on automation. So if we go into the automation settings here, you can see they've picked their pump tank, but they're able to choose any of their other water level sensors as a destination tank. And below that, they can set up the automation themselves. So here they want the pump to start at 62 centimeters and then switch off when it gets to 110. And really, once that's done, it's really set and forget. And what's great about that is it's set up on the tank's actual levels, rather than an arbitrary timer that might lead to the tank overfilling or not be filled up enough. This will actually fill the tank to the exact levels. We also know, though, that sometimes farmers just want to be able to have that remote control, not have it completely automated. And so that's an option as well if they click here and move it into manual mode. And if I hit save on that, it means that the pump won't automatically kick into gear. It'll have to be from them logging in and pressing the start button, or there's also the start and stop button at the actual pump control box. Another nifty feature that we have as well is the activity log. So now that we've able to give them this remote control, farmers really wanted to have also that wanted to have a bit more context around who's doing what and where. And I'll show you actually over in this example might be a better. So this is really this is an interesting case where there's actually been an error at this pump, and we'll actually have it appear here with a little bit more detail about what's happened. So in this example, there was a communication failure and some instructions on what to do next. So in that case, we'd like them to try again. But here you can see as well is the activity log in action, where they're showing them, okay, there was a communication error, and so the monitor hasn't received the request. But they can also have some other insights about like who's updated the settings, who's turned it on, who's turned it off, or whether it was turned on and off by the automation settings. And so, we had an instance where, for example, a customer was like, oh, I haven't turned it off. Why is it off? And then it had actually been someone at the team member had been at the pump and had turned it off manually there. And so now they can have that insight and be able to see exactly who's been doing what. Cool. And so coming back to the presentation. Oh, except for it's jumped ahead. So I guess you might be thinking, so how does this all work? And so our pump control system is, as Rach already explained, compatible with a wide range of existing pumps out in the market. And so really, when we boil it down, the way it works is the Farmbot pump control can connect to the existing pump system. And then it's really just starting and stopping the pump by controlling the electrical circuit. So it's making and breaking that circuit. And then via its communication between the platform and our satellite monitor, we're able to monitor and be across those changes. And so really with that one click of a button, that it allows them to control the pump from anywhere in the world. And as you can see, here's a pretty nifty setup from one of our customers where they've set up the monitor just above the box, and they've set up their Farmbot pump control, which is this little box here. That's the remote switch version, which I'll go into a bit more detail shortly. They've set it up in here, and it's completely easily accessible just near their pump. So yeah, as I mentioned, so the remote switch, when we zoom out, would be wired into the pump control. Sorry, into the pump is the remote switch box, which would also be plugged into a Farmbot monitor. And then down the line on the actual water tank, they could have another Farmbot monitor with a water level sensor. And as that example that, again, Rach explained how that allows us to, where the pump and tank are 50 kilometers away, we can still completely control both systems and allow for that automation because of this setup. Obviously, if the pump and tank are right next to one another, then they only need that one monitor. And the remote switch and the water level can be plugged into the one monitor. Another example that we have as well is the remote power point. That's the other version of our pump control. And this one is just plug and play into mains power. So the slight difference here is that, yeah, it would be, you would plug some pumps might be plugged into the mains power, you would be bringing the remote power point in between the two. So the remote power point get plugged into the mains power, and then the pump controls plug goes straight into the front of the remote power point. And then exactly again, that is connected to the to the monitor, my words, and chatting to the other monitor if there's two involved. So an example of this is so important things to know about this for plugging it into the monitor is that the Farmbot pump control always requires two ports. And so as you can see here, this is the back of a monitor. So it would require port 1 and port 2 of this monitor. Because of that as well, at any one point in time, there can only be two pump controls in a monitor. But yeah, if you did have a customer for whatever reason that has two pumps close to one another, we are able to support both pump controls on the one monitor. And then just out of interest, if you didn't know already, that this other port below it is what the water level sensor would be plugged into. The max cable length between the pump control and Farmbot monitor is 12 meters. So if the tank and pump control are further than 12 meters, that's when we would suggest the two monitor situation. And then finally, as I've already mentioned, the pump control only works with the satellite monitor at the moment. So it's a satellite product. And yeah, so as I've mentioned, this is what the remote switch and remote power point looks like. So the remote switch would be wired into the pump or its pump controller, whereas the remote power point just plugs in. We have a single and a three-phase version of that. So you can see here's an example of the three-phase, and you can see where the pump's three-phase would just directly plug into here, and then this would be plugging into the mains power. whereas the remote switch would be based on the, we've got some really great and clear instructions on how to do this, but it would plug into the normally open or normally closed ports for the controller. In broad strokes, we say that the remote switch can work with solar, diesel, and mains powered, whereas the remote power point is more suited for single and three-phase. So it depends on the mains power situation we have. The vast majority would be with a remote power point, but in some instances, the remote switch might be more appropriate. And yeah, just on that point more. So yeah, diesel would use remote switch. Mains powered can use remote power point for the 240 or 415 volt, and then the solar with the remote switch. So really can be compatible with so many pumps out on the market, and we'll be getting that compatibility list to you guys in the next week, as Rach said. Awesome. And just to finish it off, there's a couple of good setups from some of our early customers of the pump control who are absolutely loving it. So as you can see, this is Michael with his setup in South Australia, with his tank really close to the his pump. And so he set up the tank and his little rain gauge, which you can see in the back there, on the tank, and under his solar panel and with the pump, he's got his little remote switch set up there. And, you know, if they were near the actual pump themselves, they can obviously press that on or off button from here. Otherwise, they're able to do it all by their phone, from their phone. Ooh, and then, is that loading? Oh, and then here we've got another setup from Rob in New South Wales. So this is he's actually got two pump controls set up. On the left here, he's got the monitor set up above the pumps box. From recollection, he had an electrician come and help him set this up, and so we've had some farmers that are really comfortable to do it themselves, and others we just recommend getting an electrician involved. And so he had it set up with the remote power point in here, and then alternatively, also on the shed, they had the Farmbot monitor set up pointing due north on top of the shed and running the cord down, and then inside the shed he had his remote power point set up again. And so yeah, as I mentioned there, you can see how he's got that grey cord that's plugged in the front that feeds into his pump, which is just down on the floor to the right. And then he's taken the orange cord, which is into the remote power point, and just plugged that straight into mains powered, and then bang, all good to go. And it's genuinely that as simple as that. Amazing. I'll hand it back to you, Rach.
Unmute. Thanks, Sim. Yeah, I think Sim's sort of covered pretty much everything on the pump control. So obviously, if they have no mains power, we've got the remote switch. If they do have single phase or three phase, we do have the PowerPoint option. Next page, next one, Sim. Yeah. So before I say thank you, just a couple of things, I guess, when we're talking to clients, I guess the questions that we're asking, and these will be the questions that you'll be asking your clients, we really understand what's motivating them to look into pump control. So things like how far are they traveling to control or check their pumps? How long does it take? Is the current pumping system working? So we've had, for instance, real life scenario, someone has come to us and said they've got a mono pump. It's set on on and off manually on a pressure differential, not working of course, for them. So they're looking at a pump control. So like there's a million different situations with pumps, as you guys would know. You're out there every day dealing with them, but I think you'll find that the pump systems generally, unless they're brand new, most have some discrepancies where a pump control system would add more efficiency and give them more time and peace of mind. So definitely almost a question that, you know, you should be asking your clients about their pump control, especially you guys probably put it in, or that you're about to upgrade it. And this is a good opportunity for you to go pump control. What a great option, and really quite you know, quite an economical option, considering the you know, the amount of headaches and time and money people spend on pumping and losing water, and yeah, losing water or using too much water or not having enough water and the pump's not keeping up and they don't know about it. So that's all sort of part of, I guess, when I come around and do some more training with you guys. But with, as I said, sort of Darling Irrigation, we're really hoping that pump control will be a leading product for you guys in the future. So look, appreciate your time, and hopefully I'll get around to all of you. My details are there. So please give me a call.